Alright, I've turned down the, like, effects or whatever, so... Okay, that's a lot quieter. Today, Sarah and I are going shopping together. I asked her if she wanted to join me as I was planning on buying a new cell phone because I got shamed into it, apparently. Yeah, okay. It wasn't because of Neil's comment about my phone still having buttons and looking like a fossil. Well, maybe a little. Regardless, I decided it was kind of time to upgrade to a smartphone, especially since Sarah keeps asking me to download this app so we can chat together. I figured she'd be the best person to take with me on a phone shopping trip. We enter the electronics store and I look around at all the phones that are on display. Their price tags are pretty brutal. Which one do you have? I ask Sarah. Sarah walks towards one that looks sleek and black. This one, the Imperium 6, big but still compact enough to fit in my pocket. I don't know what I should pick. The price tag on Sarah's phone is $699, and I would prefer not to spend so much on a simple phone. Me too. Sarah gets distracted by the camera lenses in the next aisle, and she gleefully hops over to check them out. Look at these lenses. I really should upgrade mine. I'd like a lower aperture for indoor photography. I pretend to know what Sarah means and nod my head, all while looking at a much cheaper cell phone. The cell phone I'm holding is white with a $249 price tag, and I really do not know what the difference is with the one Sarah has. Perhaps you simply pay more for a brand name. That could be it. No, but okay. I wish I could go too, says Sarah all of a sudden. Go where? I ask, looking up and seeing her head pop out over the shelf. Sarah walks back to where I am. That masquerade party, of course. Right. After I got that invitation from Neil, obviously I told Sarah about it, and she's been green with envy ever since. Want my invitation instead? Can I? She says, super serious. The pictures that I could take, I'd love to photograph some of those costumes in the ballroom. I'm almost tempted to let Sarah go in my place, but she seems way more eager about the idea than I am. Sorry, I'm only going there in the hopes of finding some clients, I say dejectedly. Neil is rich, after all, and I'm sure he only mingles with rich people. I don't like to admit it, but he is right when he says it's a big opportunity for me. It could bump up my revenue. I know, says Sarah with a sigh. I can still dream. Have you decided what to wear yet? I can't even decide on a cell phone, let alone my costume for a masquerade ball. No, but I guess I should be diligent to make something that wows people. I'd love to wow Neil, make him stand there looking speechless at my craftsmanship. I'm sure you'll make something beautiful, I have no doubt about that. I give Sarah a smile. She always seems to have my back. Now, can we get back to why I came here in the first place? I still don't know which one to pick. Sarah laughs and then continues looking for a cell phone with me. She eventually convinces me to buy the white one I had in my hands before. It has a 5.5-inch screen, a front-facing camera, and does everything a smartphone should do. It's my first smartphone, so Sarah helps me set everything up, downloading the app she thinks I would need and explaining how to use the touch commands. After a while, I think I understand everything well enough, and Sarah and I part ways. Wonder who we're gonna run into. Uh-oh. Never mind, I guess. But I really don't remember a lot of this. When I'm home, I fiddle around with my new phone. I'm entering my old contact information, copying the numbers and names from my previous phone. I even enter in Neil's number, still listing him as His Majesty. To test it out, I send him a brief text on the chat messaging app that Sarah downloaded for me. I'm unsure if Neil has it as well, but she assured me that most people own the same app. Got a smartphone. Now you can't complain it's a fossil anymore. I smirk at myself. Neil isn't the only one with a fancy phone anymore. Okay. It's not the most expensive model that he probably has, but it's something. About 5 minutes later, it vibrates and I check. I can only assume this is Valkii, who doesn't feel the need to introduce herself in her first message to me. Yes, it's me. You're so smart for figuring that out. Want a pat on the back? A simple compliment will suffice. Good boy. I'm not a dog. Could have fooled me. He doesn't reply anymore after that, and I'm a little bit disappointed. It's a lot more fun to rib someone when they reply back to you. I guess I should start working on my costume for the masquerade ball. My dress is well on its way. The patterns have already been cut out. I just need to stitch it all together. I can't wait until Neil sees it. Speaking of Neil, he just entered my boutique. I stand up straight, surprised to see him here. Neil? I question him. I was just... Neil looks around the place. Dropping by to see your progress. You mean my costume? Yes, why else would I be here? You came to check out your competition. Neil sticks his nose up in the air. You cannot compete with my vastly superior Tailor. He's a huge name among very famous people. I sigh out loud. Did you come here just to brag? You could have simply done it through text. I point at my cell phone lying on the counter. Neil's eyes perk up a little as he sees the device. He walks over to inspect it. Is that your new phone? He picks it up from the table without my permission. Model A5 Pixana. That's an outdated model. My eyes glaze over as he rattles on regarding some technical info that I don't really care about. Why didn't you get the latest version? He asks. Because my pockets aren't lined with gold. Besides, I can call and text people, that's all I need. Ah, right, I almost forgot. You're quite poor. My cheeks sting with a blush. Why is he always this hostile? I'm not poor. You couldn't pay to replace my watch, though, he points out. Who just has 6k lying around, dude? Normal people don't just have 6k to drop at a moment's notice. I walk around the counter to stand in front of him. I don't have the time to listen to you calling me poor. If you're done mocking me, how about you leave? Neil rolls his eyes at me. I didn't come here to point out our differences in wealth. I came to see your costume. Well, I'm not letting you, I answer childishly. Besides, it's not finished yet. Why don't you send progress pictures with SnapPic? He asks. Oh, SnapPic. I heard Sarah talking about that. She wanted me to use it so we could send pictures to each other. I don't quite understand the concept, though. I don't have SnapPic, I admit. Oh? It's a free app, though. Anyone can get it. I just don't really know how to install it. I can't figure it out. I say with a frustrated sigh. I mean, I'm here thinking from a perspective of, oh, I know how to use a smartphone and it's really easy to figure out that kind of stuff. But if someone's never used a smartphone before, it's like, how would they know? Oh. Yeah, like someone who maybe isn't around technology that much to begin with. I take the phone out of Neil's hands and turn around, unlocking my phone and looking at the screen. A friend of mine wanted me to get it as well, but this is all very new to me. It's very confusing. Smartphones are a mystery to me and I'm still learning the ropes. It's frustrating to be behind on technology like this. Here, let me. Suddenly, Neil appears behind me, his head hovering over my shoulder. Instinctively, I freeze up at our proximity to each other. That's way too close. His slender fingers reach out for the phone in my hands. He flicks his index finger across the screen, browsing through it. You've got to find it in the app shop first. Neil's breath is but a hair away from my ear. Do you always breathe down people's necks? I ask out loud. Neil swiftly pulls himself away from me, guilt and embarrassment flashing across his face for a brief second. I wasn't that close, he says awkwardly as he fixes his tie. Then he lowers his eyebrows at me. I'm just trying to help. You seem to be unable to navigate your own cell phone that even most children are capable of doing nowadays. Well, sorry. My parents didn't have a lot of money when I grew up, so I never really got the latest technology. Not everyone grew up rich like you. I bite back at him. Both of us glare at each other, not saying a word. The tension between us has gotten thick and suffocating. Neil crosses his arms as he finally breaks eye contact with me. He bashfully shuffles his feet on the spot, then stretches out his hand towards me. Here, just let me do it for you then. I bite down on my lip, staring at him for a couple of seconds, but I hand over my phone. Neil's fingers start tapping on the screen, something he seems quite familiar with. Within a minute, he's done with whatever he's doing and looks back up at me. There, you've got SnapPic installed. It will import your contacts from your phone and you'll have to create a profile. Oh well, that was fast. Thanks, I say, feeling a little hesitant. Neil's about to hand over my phone, but then his eyes flicker across the screen one last time. He cocks his head to the side. Who's? His Majesty. My eyes bulge out. He's reading my contacts. No, don't read that, I yell out and frantically reach for my phone. As I try to take my phone back, I end up bumping it out of Neil's hand and it falls to the floor. Damn it. I quickly bend down to grab it from the floor, not realizing Neil has the same idea. Our foreheads painfully bump into each other. Ah, I yelp and quickly rush to stand up straight. Except I somehow manage to knock into Neil's face again, right against his chin, a sharp pain striking me through my entire head, y'all. So clumsy. I bow away in agony, whimpering and holding my head. It's like I hit it against a boulder. What is Neil's jaw made of? Oh. When I pry open one of my eyes, I see Neil standing in front of me, completely stupefied. Your nose, I shriek. He's bleeding. Neil's hand reaches out to his lips where the blood is slowly inching across, then widens his eyes when he realizes he's bleeding from his nose. My nose. Neil starts to panic. What do? I've never had a nosebleed before. Helplessly, he stands there as his face starts to resemble a murder scene. Pinch it with your fingers, I say quickly, and keep your face down so that it doesn't bleed into your throat. Neil quickly pinches the bridge of his nose and looks down towards the ground. Give me a second, I'll go grab some tissues for you. That right there. They're right there. I quickly disappear from the boutique and head to my workroom to find some paper tissues for Neil. They're right there. When I get back, Neil is still standing there, pinching his nose, not having moved an inch. It's kind of funny. Here, I say as I offer the tissue. Clean your face, but don't stop pinching your nose. Neil takes the tissue from me and quickly wipes away the blood from his lips. He's still wearing that shocked expression on his face, as if he truly doesn't know what to do. He looks frightened. I take the bloody tissue from him and throw it into the trash. How long do I have to pinch? He asks impatiently. About 10 to 15 minutes, so don't be in a hurry to let go yet. Neil grows quiet, continuing to hold his nose whilst looking down at the floor. A few minutes pass by as we stand in silence. I can't help but chuckle a little at the situation. Seeing Neil so helpless and frantic in front of me is golden. What are you laughing at? He sounds so nasally. Sorry, it's just a little funny. Is this really the first time you've had a nosebleed? And what of it? Is this something common with you? Do you often excrete blood through your nostrils? I don't know, not often, but everyone I know has gotten at least one when they were kids. I recall the times I've had a nosebleed before in my life. It's kind of amazing Neil has managed to live through life without getting a single one. Figures the first time I get one is because of you, he mumbles. What's that supposed to mean? Well, this is your fault, you know. I huff. It was an accident. It's not like I wanted to knock into you on purpose. Sure about that? You love breaking my things after all. As much as I'd love to hit you, this time it wasn't intentional. I mean, Neil's got a very punchable face sometimes, but I didn't try to hit him on purpose this time. Neil visibly recoils from me, eyes widening in shock. What? He gasps at me. Oh, nothing at all, I mutter. How about you stay away from my face from now on? I ignore his warning and take a step towards Neil. Nonsense, let me see how your nose is doing. Back off, he says in a shrill voice, taking a step backwards. Neil looks really distraught, so I can't help but grin and corner him against my counter. Not another step, he warns me. Just let me take a look, it's been long enough by now. Don't be a big baby. No, what if my brain falls out? I laugh. Are you sure you've got any brains left in the first place? Neil glares at me. Haha, it might be funny to you, but I'm the one bleeding. I promise it'll be okay. My hands reach out towards his nose. Neil surprisingly slumps his shoulders in defeat and lets me remove the hand on his nose. His arm falls to the side and I let go of his clammy hand. I study his face, seeing only a smidge of blood near his nostril still, but it's not bleeding anymore. How's it look? He asks nervously. Surprised by Neil's vulnerable look, I can't help but stare at him. His guard is usually up and he's constantly arguing with me, but here he looks fragile and a little scared. You know, I start in a soft voice. My hand stretches out towards his face. Using my thumb, I press it against his upper lip and wipe away the bloodstain. For someone who works at the hospital, you know surprisingly little about medical emergencies. Neil turns his head to the side, then pushes my hand away from his face. I'm not a licensed medical practitioner. There's no reason for me to know what to do with a nosebleed, he argues weakly. Well, Neil, it seems the bleeding has stopped. You can breathe a sigh of relief now that your brain hasn't fallen out. I chuckle at him. Neil's cheeks turn the slightest shade of pink. Oh, how cute. He's getting embarrassed. That's what he gets for calling me poor. Don't patronize me, he barks. He slinks away from me and the counter and skips towards the exit. I'm leaving. I can't help but snort and wave at him. See you at the party. Be sure to take tissues with you. Ah, goodbye. Neil opens the door and dashes out of my boutique. I'm a little gleeful that I got to tease Neil like that. It feels good to bring him down a notch from his pompous attitude. I can't wait to rub it in his face when he sees my glorious masquerade dress. Can I just press enter to continue? No, I cannot. I should really do something about this, but I really can't be bothered. I like that they made it optional though. It's the day of the ball. I've been working long and hard on my own dress. Its golden accent stitched on the back fabric was done with love and care. The dress looks and feels expensive, and I'm quite proud I've outdone myself. Even the mask is looking fabulous with its black feathers and zirconium studs. Neil will eat his words when he sees me. I just want to see that look on his face. We've been texting back and forth sometimes while I was making the costume. He would brag about his costume being the best, and I would brag about my own progress, keeping him posted with a few texts here and there. Most of them were thinly veiled excuses to take a jab at each other. I didn't realize texting Neil like this wasn't going to be the pain I imagined it to be. Honestly, it was sort of fun sometimes. He hasn't been a pain in the butt recently. That's not to say he hasn't used his impressive vocabulary to chew me out, because he certainly has. Except this time I fire off my own words right back at him. When have you not done that? Neil mentioned something about having a bet with someone, but wouldn't indulge in more information about it when I pressed. Perhaps he made a bet to see if I would be wearing a trash bag to the ball or something stupid like that. No, Neil will be wowed so badly I'll knock him right off his feet. If I'm not knocking into him on purpose, that is. Either way, I'm all dressed up, makeup on, and ready to go. Ready to party. A taxi takes me to the large hotel hosting the event. There's even a red carpet rolled out in the front. They went all out. I suddenly feel like royalty when I exit the car and my heartbeat speeds up a little bit. This is definitely getting exciting. At the door, I show my invitation to the lackey and he welcomes me inside, pushing the large white doors open for me. I follow the red carpet up the stairs, lifting my dress so that my heels don't tear the fabric. For a small while, I feel a little bit like Cinderella and I enter the ballroom with a slight smile on my lips. The sound of classical music hits my ears immediately. My mouth just about drops open at the sight before me. The room is gorgeous, but not only that, the people are as well. The room is filled with people buzzing about. Lots of gold, purple, and blue sequined outfits are amongst the crowd. And of course, the most important thing, the extravagant masks. People with the most exquisite masks walk by me, and I'm suddenly really glad for the fact that I placed so much time and effort into making my own, because some of these make mine pale in comparison. If there are any celebrities among them, I wouldn't know, considering everyone is hiding their identity. Not wanting to stand there and gawk at people, I quickly make my way over to one of the buffet tables. It's a long table with a white tablecloth loaded with dishes of expensive-looking food. I'm surprised I didn't skimp out on the food because I've seen what kind of buffet food a hotel serves, but I guess Neil deserves nothing but the best after all. A waiter quickly notices I am not carrying a drink in my hand and hands me a glass of sparkling champagne. I thank him and start to take a little sip. Maybe the alcohol will give me a bit of courage because I'm starting to feel a little out of my element here. I should be mingling, introducing myself to people and get my name out there, but now I'm here, all alone, it feels rather daunting. Perhaps I'll stick to finding Neil first. My eyes peer through my mask to see if I can spot him anywhere. He shouldn't be that hard to spot, he's got purple hair after all. I sway from side to side to the music, my dress making swooping motions as it tries to follow my body. All of a sudden, someone from behind me tries to walk in front of me and ends up bumping into me. My champagne almost flies out of my hands onto the man's suit. I gasp out loud when I catch it in time before it spills out, and then I look at the man who knocked into me. Wow, I wonder who that is. It's Neil. There's no hiding that purple hair after all, even though his eyes are covered by a dark shadow of the mask, although I feel like there's a twist here. Can't remember. He's wearing a black and white outfit that reminds me of a Joker. It looks well made, his bragging wasn't for no reason after all. To be honest, it looks rather good on him. I grin at him, of course he had to be the first person I run into. You should have knocked into me a bit harder, at least then I'd get the pleasure of ruining another shirt of yours, I joke. I stand there tall and proud, showing off my costume in its full glory. I wait for his reaction, something I've been dying to see once I started working on my costume. Neil straightens himself and cocks his head to the side. "Excuse me?" he says. Not the reaction I was hoping for. "Oh, come on, I know you knocked into me on purpose. You should admit that at least." "No, I did not. You're a strange one." "I'm not the one knocking into people on purpose." "Right." Neil then continues to ignore me and resumes looking through all the buffet food. I chew on my lip and frown. Is that all he's going to do? He's not going to tease me? Not even a single word? I'm a bit peeved that he hasn't started anything yet aside from rudely bumping into me, so I guess I should be the one to start the battle of words. "So, did your tailor make that costume for you? With the way you bragged about him before, I had expected you to come wearing nothing but a diamond-encrusted cape." There, he had to respond to that. Neil looks up from the buffet, then he clutches the edges of his blazer and puffs out his chest. "My costume was made by the best, thank you very much." He then turns on his heel and walks away from the buffet. My mouth drops open. Did Neil just ditch me? Oh no, he didn't. He disappears amongst the crowd, so I hurry after him, worming myself through the sea of people who are all dancing. I try to look over the costumes and tall hats, but the feathers and boas are blocking my sight, and soon I've lost Neil. Why did he leave? Maybe he just didn't realize it was me. That could be it. I looked so different from normal that Neil had no idea it was me, perhaps. I growl in frustration and try to worm myself past another lady who suddenly notices I'm trying to get past her and she faces me. "Well, hello there, pretty lady," she says with a slur in her words. Oh god, someone's drunk at this time already? How much did she have to drink? Where are you going? If her breath is any indicator, she drank a lot. Are you alone? No, I'll accompany you. You seem so lost and sad. I can't seem to really get a word in as the woman starts to ramble. Sad and lonely like my cousin. You should meet him. I'm actually trying to... Well then, let's go meet him. She swings an arm around my neck and pulls me close to her until I'm squished against her itchy costume. Against my will, I'm being dragged around by this random drunk woman when all I really want to do is find Neil again. We pass by a couple of groups who are dancing until I'm suddenly thrown into the arms of a man. The glass of champagne in my hand spills out all over the floor. Some of it splatters on the shoes of the strange man. I take a step back and cringe. What if this is some celebrity I just spilled my drink on? Oh no, I'm so sorry about that, I got pushed. Look, I brought you a single lady, says the woman with a large smile. Now stop moping around and have fun. She looks like a perfect candidate to be your fiancé, no? She blows him a kiss and swaggers away. I see you've met my cousin, he says as he stares off into the distance where the woman disappeared to. Oh, yeah, I guess so. Here, let me clean this off for you. I place the empty glass down on a nearby table, then take my handkerchief from my purse and bend down to clean his shoe. I feel mortified for spilling champagne on a stranger or someone famous. A white mask greets my vision. The man is down on my level with his hand on top of my hand. He's way too close for comfort. What are you doing? He asks. Cleaning? I state simply, a bit flabbergasted he's this close to me and even holding my hand. It's making my heart beat a little fast. He gently takes the handkerchief from my hands, wipes away the champagne from his shoe, then he slips his hand into mine again and lifts me up. Suddenly, I feel like I'm being treated as a princess, and that whole Cinderella feeling is back. I gulp and stare down at his gloved hand, which is still holding onto mine. This is a weird atmosphere. When he sees my eyes looking at our hands, he drops it. Well, it's been nice meeting you, but I need to go find my friend. I cut him off. I need to get back to Neil. I don't really want to embarrass myself any further in front of celebrities. It makes me feel completely out of place. However, didn't I decide to attend this ball so I could show off my dress to other people, in case I could get some clients out of it? Why would I be rushing out to find Neil all of a sudden? Then again, I do still want to find him and make sure he knows it's me this time. A friend? He inquires. I simply nod my head and turn around to leave, but suddenly a hand grabs my arm, pulling me back. But wait, don't you need to replace your glass of champagne? Says the man. I frown. To me, it didn't really matter. Sure, I guess. And then can I get back to finding Neil? The man snaps his fingers to alert one of the waiters, who quickly comes down to offer a tray of glasses filled with champagne. The man picks one of the glasses and holds it out for me. For you, he says with a slight smile. The man's voice is familiar, but I'm not sure where to place it. Perhaps I've seen him on TV? Yes, maybe. Gosh, I might really be talking to a celebrity. Well, if he's at this party, he has to be rich as well. Perhaps I can turn him into a client instead. Thank you. I gently grab at it and quickly take a small sip. I really do apologize for spilling some on you. He smiles warmly at me. That's all right. I'm going to be needing more alcohol if you'll continue to treat me like a princess. It's starting to feel a little weird, the fact that everyone's wearing costumes and looking like a glitter bomb went off in the place. The fact that everyone's wearing costumes and looking like a glitter bomb went off in the place doesn't really help make matters feel less weird. Sarah would be so jealous of me right now. I study the man in front of me. The man's costume is composed of a golden vest covered in a diamond pattern and underneath a silky black blouse with matching black pants. There's a silver cape attached to his neck. It looks expensive and skillfully made. I admire whoever created it. You have a lovely costume, I compliment him, still looking for a way to turn him into a client of mine. He coughs, coyly turning his head away from me. Thank you, ma'am. Yours looks exquisite as well. Great, at least there's someone who likes my work. I give him a big smile. I feel like I can take on Neil now, and anything he dishes out at me. So, who's this friend of yours you're looking for? He asks. I tap my fingers against the glass. Neil and I aren't really friends, but how else do I describe him? Frenemies? Well, I guess maybe we're not really friends, but I'm looking for him regardless. The man chuckles a little. Then do you want to find this not friend together? What does he look like? Well, 2 people looking for someone is better than 1, and at least he's being nice and everything, even though I was pushed into his arms and spilled champagne on him. If I did that with Neil, I'd have an earful. What's he look like? Well, he's got purple hair and he's got a black and white costume. Have you seen him around before? He asks. Yes, but I lost sight of him. He's probably looking for a mirror so he can admire himself. The man snorts and flashes me a smile. I know just the place. He then offers his arm to me like a true gentleman. Swept away in this ballroom of extravagant costumes and chivalry, I link my arm with his. I guess there's no harm in getting a little bit of fun out of this event. He leads me away from the crowd further down another room where the music is less loud. There aren't many people around and Neil isn't amongst them. I drink more of my champagne and then place it down near another table. That's when I noticed the reason why he led me to this place. There are a few giant intricate mirrors on the wall. The frames are old and painted gold, but the most amazing thing is seeing myself in the mirror. I don't look like me. It's no wonder Neil didn't recognize me. I hardly recognize myself. I feel like I'm looking through a window and staring at someone else, someone who's living a much more interesting life than I am, wearing a dress I'd never wear. But for now, I am that person. The cloak of anonymity is like a high that I'm starting to like. It's beautiful, I find myself saying. I step closer to the biggest mirror, my arm slipping away from the man. It's from the early 19th century, originating from France, the man explains. It is said that people believed this mirror would show your true self. He chuckles a little. Sometimes the truth is not what people want to see. To be honest, I feel like I'm not even looking at myself right now, like it's someone else up there. I admit, I feel a bit sheepish though. Or is that too silly? The man is quiet for a bit, nothing but a slight smile appearing on his lips. That's not a silly thought at all, he reassures me. I can imagine this is not your everyday wardrobe, but that's the allure of it, isn't it? He looks at me. To be someone you're not for a day, to talk to people you'd never talked to before. I'm still staring at the mirror and I see him standing next to me. We look like a fairy tale couple, a prince and a princess. Maybe this is how Cinderella felt, I say. But one day she got to experience what it's like to be someone else. So Cinderella, what does it feel like? He asks with a devilish smile. I turn to face him this time and grin. I don't know, the night's only beginning. Our moment is ruined when that woman from before comes loudly crashing into the room. There you are, she yells as she spots the black-haired man. I can see him visibly cringe when the woman approaches him. How are you getting along with my cousin? Nicely, I assume. She then pinches the man's cheek. Been treating her well? Don't scare her off. She's got the best dress here among this drivel of swines, meaning she's your best chance at getting a fiancé. Doesn't make any sense, but alright. I blush a little at the compliment and feel a tiny bit weird due to the fiancé comment. He's been treating me well, I answer for him. Good job. Now be sure to give her a ride home. I'm going to see if they've got any more of the most expensive champagne. Bye-bye now, darlings. The woman trails her boa around me, letting it slip around my neck before she skedaddles away, but not before tripping on her own boa and then carrying on like nothing happened. I can't help myself. I laugh out loud. The black-haired man behind me keeps quiet. Your cousin is quite charming. He shrugs a little bit. Don't mind her. She makes it a point to get us drunk as fast as possible. So take anything she says with a grain of salt. But you'll give me a ride home, no? After all, she insisted on it. I toy with him. He smirks at me. Doesn't Cinderella have her own carriage? No, she doesn't, remember? It turned into a pumpkin. Then maybe you should hurry and go home before midnight. Don't want the spell to wear off. The smile on my lips linger a little bit. I feel myself swelling up in excitement. I don't know who this man is, yet I have no problems flirting with him. I'm even feeling brave enough, must be the champagne, to lean into him, close enough for my dress to brush up against him. I poke my finger into his chest with a small giggle. I guess I'll have to come find you after midnight then. The man simply smirks back at me, unafraid of my bold approach. Wasn't it the prince who was supposed to find Cinderella? Well, I don't mind if you chase me a little bit. I give him a wink, then reach down for my champagne and turn around to leave him standing there, speechless. I'm on some kind of sugar rush because I've never been this flirty before. It's because of the mask. It makes me feel like I can do anything to anyone. However, as much as I like flirting with strange men, it's time to look for Neil again, or more clients. Either one will work. I explore the premises of the hotel and discover quite a few more interesting rooms, as well as the large courtyard they have, decorated with LED lights. The moon is out and it's a little bit chilly, but I'm determined to find that weasel of a man again and give him a piece of my mind. Maybe even tease him about having other men flirting with me. Yes, that would be fun. I don't have much luck finding Neil, but I've at least been mingling a tiny bit with the others at the party. Mostly I've been getting compliments on my costume, and I've returned the favour, but Neil is nowhere in sight. After I've had 2 glasses of champagne, enough to loosen up, I finally spot that purple hair again. Hey! I call out to him and walk up. Neil stops in his tracks to look at me. He's with a group of other men. Finally, I caught up with him. Do you think it's fun making me run around looking for you? Me? He asks, looking slightly confused. Yes, you. Who else? I think you've mistaken me for somebody else. I roll my eyes. I couldn't possibly mistake your pompous attitude. It's unmistakable. Who's this? Asks another one of the men. I don't know. Some crazy lady, says Neil. Wait. What? I immediately yell out. I'm not crazy. It's me, Valkii. Come on, let's go, says the other man. No, wait, Neil. I know it's you. Come back. I reach out for his black mask and tear it off his face. It's not Neil. Green eyes stare back at me. That's definitely not Neil. My blood runs cold. Oh, I say with a blank stare. This is someone else completely. The man snatches the mask away and promptly puts it back on. Crazy, he mumbles, then he scuffles away with his group of friends. I awkwardly slink away from the crowd and find a quiet spot behind a corner to gather my wits again. My cheeks are burning from the embarrassment. The chill of the night stings even more. I mistook some stranger for Neil. I even made some really nasty remarks. Oh no, I really do look crazy like this. I let that sink in for a while. The way I treat Neil, others are calling me crazy for it. Maybe it is crazy. Maybe those people are right. Our thing, our pettiness and argumentative atmosphere. Why are we even doing it? It's not like I wanted it to be this way, to always argue with Neil, to find something to insult him on. No, in the beginning I thought we could even be friends, considering we had met each other when we were kids before. And now look at us, we're essentially behaving like kids again. It doesn't matter that Neil basically started it. I should have been the better person and not stooped down to his level. I'm ashamed of my own actions towards Neil. I shouldn't have behaved so petty and bitter. I shouldn't behave so petty and bitter. I sit down on a lone wooden bench and sigh. What am I even doing at this party? I know I convinced myself it's because I wanted to make some connections for my business, but I can't really fool myself any longer. To be truthful, I just wanted to rub it in his face that I had made a beautiful masquerade dress and hopefully he would have complimented me for it. Yet now I haven't even met the real Neil. Is everything alright? I nearly jump out of my own skin when I hear a sudden voice from behind. I crane my neck to see who it is. It's that black-haired man from before. Sorry for startling you, he says. Can I sit next to you? I scoot over a bit and pull my dress along to make room for him. He slowly sits down next to me. I didn't see you around anymore. Thought you'd already left in your carriage, he says. I flash him a tiny smile. Oh, my bad. I was moving and... I flash him a tiny smile. No carriage for me. I'm feeling a little bit like a pumpkin, actually. I guess it's true what people say, that you can open up a lot more towards a stranger than someone you know, because I have no trouble letting this man know what I'm feeling. And why is that? He asks in a soft voice. I look into the distance of the yard where all the other people are dancing near the band playing music. I made a fool out of myself, I admit. Did you also get drunk and started pinching people's cheeks? I chuckle. Not exactly. I just mistook some stranger for someone I know and dislike, and I treated him horribly. A case of mistaken identity common during parties such as these. There's a silence between us. I can hear the sound of the leaves ruffling in the wind, and I shiver just the tiniest bit. Like it's completely natural, the man leans closer to me, and I can feel his warm arm through the sleeve of his blouse. It's making my heart beat a little faster. Maybe you shouldn't treat people like that in the first place, he says. Not that I know what happened between you, of course, he quickly adds afterwards. That hit me right in the feels. He's completely right, of course. I shouldn't be treating Neil like that, not at all. I want to say it's because he started it first, but that's just an excuse. I shouldn't have gone along with any of it, and I know it. No, you're right, I say with a sigh. How's your cousin doing? I decide to change the subject. Drunker. Lovely. I shiver once more. This man's body heat isn't enough to keep me warm. It's October after all. Before I can even say anything, the man drapes his cape around my shoulders. My fingers reach out for the ends to keep them from slipping off, and my eyes look over at the stranger. A buoyant... I hate that word. Buoyant feeling wells up in my heart. That was such a kind gesture. Thank you, I whisper. I don't know what makes me feel warmer, the cape or this stranger's actions. I fasten the cape so that it stays around my shoulders. He simply nods his head at me and continues to look straight ahead to where all of the people are dancing. My cousin, she hasn't done anything rash though. I usually expect her to be much more of a troublemaker. He continues our conversation like nothing happened. Seems like you're speaking from a lot of experience. I wish I wasn't. Growing up with her was hard enough, but then factor in that she's usually drunk. Sounds rough, I say. I don't really have much contact with my family aside from my mother. I think I would have liked having an older sibling or cousin looking out for me. Looking out for me, meddling in my life, I don't really see a difference there, he says with a sigh. Oh, she doesn't want you to find your Cinderella, I tease him. He huffs at that. But haven't I already found her? He says while looking at me. He brushes his finger against the rim of my mask, and I feel myself holding in my breath. He's quite daring, isn't he? But I can't say I dislike it. That depends, we haven't even danced yet, I manage to say. The man promptly stands up from the bench, he bows slightly before me and extends his hand out to me. We'll continue this in the next one.